is like us. And once you believe in yourself that you can do it, you'll do it. I mean, we went and opened countries literally with zero capital, went to the street, picked up and delivered, and we thought everyone does that. I got to know that like 15 years later. That was crazy what we've done, but we enjoyed the ride, and that's what Aramex is about. I mean, it's not only me. You've got hundreds and thousands of people who went through the same journey, and we were happy to be given that space.
Let's actually look at the ARMX story in the early days with Fadi there and with yourself. You were genuinely disruptive. I mean, what Uber and Airbnb is doing today to the industries that they're in, you were doing it at that point in time, going into countries without, being very asset light. You were going into countries in a completely different way. Very, very unexpected.
Look, people have a fetish for airplanes.
Yes, they want to buy. Yes, exactly.
I mean, the people just couldn't understand why we don't have an airplane.
So you're
for them to qualify to be a decent company or a company of recognition, you need to have a plane. So we decided we didn't have a plane not because of us thinking that the asset-light model is the best model, because we didn't have the money to have a plane. So we started this decentralized organization without us owning any asset, utilizing commercial space, and having a creative network. We were able to have a global network without owning a network.
Yep.
It's a network of alliances and partners. We were the Uber at that time that disrupted the DHL and the FedEx and the UPS, or the big boys, who have a fantastic solution. Great companies, but we were able to come, and we're the only company ever that came from this region. I mean, this is, you have to understand where we're coming from. 34 years back, a company started in Jordan, then it came to Dubai and went to New York, and started from here. So people were the competition just couldn't believe what these guys are doing. So to start out of this region and then directly go global, 34 years back, is something to talk about,
I think it's very interesting to get the audience involved in this process, because the spirit of what Hussein is talking about is so special. Because when you have these big gorillas like FedEx and DHL, and TNT and stuff were a little bit smaller than UPS, but FedEx and DHL were dominant players. How do small companies succeed? And that is the question I think all of you need to reflect on while this conversation is going on, is how do I succeed against the big boys?
Because you listen.
You listen.
You listen. You listen to your customer. You see the best education that I have got in my career was from my customer. He knows what's best for him. He knows what's best for a trade. You listen, no ego, no arrogance. You screw up, you go back, do the basics, respect, communicate, pick up the phone, basics. Basics of any business, you'll do right. The problem that people have is as soon as they grow up, they become some kind of an ego hat comes on their head, and they forget where they came from. So we as Aramex till now, we never forget where we came from. And trust me, I watch personally every startup. What worries me, it's not the DHL and the FedEx. What worries me is the little guy, is the young guy whose aim is to come and disrupt the hell out of us. And he has all the right to do that. The good thing now for him is entering the business world is easier, internet is available, and the ability to disrupt is by far quicker than what it used to be 20, 30 years back, because barrier to entry are going down. So this is how you should always behave. While you're becoming big, but always have the DNA of a startup. So I call Aramex, it's $1 billion startup. You should always have in a startup mode, always be in the mode of challenging yourself. The problem that any company will go through is where over the years, they have a comfort zone. A comfort zone with you and your colleague and your colleague and your colleague working with each other for the last, 10, 15 years. And then the culture in the region is you don't want to lose face. So, you accept the way we operate, we're rough. We're rough with each other. So I challenge and they challenge us. It's the most democratized process where me as a CEO, people can challenge the hell out of me at any given time and tell what you're saying is wrong or you need to change. And with all transparency, we listen and we talk in the most dynamic way. And if we're wrong, we're wrong. If we're right, we're right. And then we move ahead. Bureaucracy is a no-go. Flat management, open door, this is how you should go, and this is how we should embrace change and accept diversity. Creativity doesn't come from a singular thinking. Diversity is at the core of innovation and creativity.
What was your first job when you started?
I started as a management trainee. And then I was playing basketball with Fadi. I had two options, one to come to Dubai and one to go to Kuwait. Okay. So I went to Kuwait. So I stepped up from the plane. Kuwait in 91, I don't know if you remember, when Saddam Hussein pulled out of he blew up all the oil wells. So I went there and I saw a whole smoke of black clouds covering the whole city. So that's how I started. We started with an office of 3. So we picked up shipments, we delivered shipments, we went to the airport, we cleared, we printed aero bills. We used to use, there was no internet, there was no fax, we had a telex. So and at that time, the beauty about it, you can create stories. Yeah. Where's your shipment? Oh, you can tell him hundreds of things. And people will believe you. No, but funny enough, it was a great start for somebody like me, fresh, and to literally be the manager, be the courier, be the receptionist, and being involved in the whole process of satisfying your customer. Coming at a time where FedEx just came after the Americans came into Kuwait and came with their own big planes, and we were simply jumping and competing, and yes, we can do it, and yes, we can do it, and yeah, I mean, why not?
Sure. So you started in a small office. I did exactly the same thing. And my first asset was, I was on my own as a sales executive. I was working for Dow Jones Corporation. And I bought a typewriter. This is in 1991. And that was my only asset. And I worked from there all the way up to
The problem I had is, you know what? I used to sell something called prepaid aero bills. And at that time, I used to be a good salesman.
Yes.
So I used to convince people. So every time you sell, you have to type.
Yes.
And I was so bad in typing. So I end up typing, like doing a deal for like 5 minutes, but getting the printed aero bills, it used to take me like a day or two. So yeah.
The point I was going to build from there is from a customer service sales exec person in a corporate structure, even though it may be very, very flat, how do you get all the way up? What do you need to do? I mean, there are lots of people like that, like you in Aramex. What differentiated you? What was your secret sauce? A little bit
nothing
extra.
comes easy.
Sure.
You have to work.
So everybody's working. So what are you doing
smartly.
more?
You have to work hard. You have to work smartly, and you have to be competitive.
So what's the secret sauce? There's got to be something more than hard work and being smart, because I would say 80% of the people that I'm meeting,
tell you something.
CEOs and
if
stuff.
I'm gonna walk now, me and you.
Yeah.
You will bet I'm gonna walk faster than you.
Okay.
You will bet. I have a competitive spirit.
Okay.
Which doesn't rest.
Okay.
Which doesn't rest. So going to Kuwait, and I have to compete with the blonde boys. You know, they come with their own big planes, big cars, coming with their beautiful setup, and us coming from nowhere. So it was, you know what, I'm gonna do it. So you have to have that belief in you, and you have to have that competitive spirit in you, so that you'll make it. Otherwise, if you are passed by in this life as a normal person and accept things as they are, you'll never make it.
Yeah. One of the long-term questions in all of these sessions that we've always encountered, I always ask this question, and it's baffled me to this day. I haven't got the answer. Perhaps you can help. How do you scale from a 3-person company to a 30,000-person company, even in 20 years? What's that rate of change is so fast, and how fast can you do contracts? How fast can you do, it takes me ages sometimes just to do a simple partnership.
You need to rally the Aramex community with you. You need to rally the people with you. It's a teamwork. If you believe in what you're doing and you have the group believing in what you're doing and then the couple of teams believing in what you're doing and then it becomes a collective movement, it's a movement. Your work is a movement. Look, people will tell me, do you separate your person? I want to separate my personal from my business. Bullshit. It doesn't work. How are you going to say, I'm an Aramex worker now from 9 to 5 and then after 5, no, I'm going to be on the golf course and then don't talk to me. You cannot separate. It is something that you have to believe in. You have to breathe it. You have to practice it. You have to do it day and out. You and your community of your colleagues, and then do it together. And that's how you scale. That's how we scaled from $1 million company to $1 billion company. That's how you need to have this. You need to have an adventurous spirit. Mm-hmm. Adventure. It's a journey. You need to challenge everything. Anytime you accept status quo and you accept a fact, you're doomed. So you need to say in your mindset, no, that's not right. Who says, whatever you tell me right now, I'm going to always challenge you. Whoever, with all the respect, not you in person, all the respect to where you're coming from, I don't take it as granted. So if you have that fighter spirit in you, that you can make it, we can do it, we can challenge, and have an adventure. Yeah, look, when we went to Africa, not far away, 6-7 years back, we used to go to Kenya without us having an appointment. Check in a hotel, go on the net and check who are the companies that we can do business, and literally go cold calling and telling companies we're interested to come and partner and buy you. I've been thrown out, but now there's a good friend of mine from somebody saying, who the hell are you coming from? Telling from Dubai, telling you're gonna buy me out. I said, yes, I'm gonna come to buy you. What's your price? It might be arrogant a bit, but you need to have an entry. So there is a big difference between talking about it and diving. Well, we are a company that dives. As simple as that.
You obviously have a very unique culture that you have built in the organization. How do you do that? How do you select those kinds of people and keep them at this peak of adventure?
Failure is the key to success.
True.
Failure.
I understand.
You don't make it right from first time. The problem that we have in this culture here, in our part, when you fail, you're marked.
Yeah.
When you fail, your society and your community will say, no, this guy is no good. What do you mean no good? Nobody makes it right from the first time. When you're a little kid, how many failures you've had until you walked or until you ran? The same thing in business. But the problem that you have, that our ecosystem here, whether it's from the nothing to do with the bank, your bank. Whether it's from the banking or from the bankruptcy laws or from the society or from the community, if you do a business and you default, you go back to jail. Yeah. And the difference is, if you kill somebody, you can get a pardon. Yeah. And you default on a check, you're rotten in your jail. I mean, what the hell? How come we're going to live in a community where we say we're going to foster entrepreneurship and startups, and then we don't have an ecosystem that allows anybody to get out of his unique whatever business he wants to do, and then comes out and do trials and error? Did Steve Jobs do it from day one? Yeah. Or Microsoft or the big companies all across? No.
Let's do it the other way around. Do you reward failure? Because if I was in a corporation like you...
We accept failure, we embrace failure, we embrace failure.
I'm talking about reward. And I'm saying this for a very specific reason, because I have done this in the past where we reward failure, and the reason is you keep pushing the barriers and barriers because, in other words, you've tried hard enough.
We've never had in our history where we punish somebody because he failed. It just doesn't exist till now, from 34 years back until today. So failure is part of I fail regular, till now. Who says that every decision making, probably what you see in the press release are the good things. But going forward, but the problem is, and the courage is to know when you cut. If you do something wrong, you should know when to stop. And you should accept it, learn from it, and move forward, and make sure that that experience will take you to a different level. So failure is part of success. You cannot separate. It's the yin and yang. Failure and success, they come together. You cannot be a successful person without failing earlier. So this concept it comes together. It's a package.
A lot of the work that I've been let's talk about your business model now, and a bit of the research that I've done on you and other companies. Your model is very weak, not you as an Aramex, but this whole supply chain model, the e-commerce model, and is under very, very serious threat. And there are lots and lots of little players that are there around. So let's talk about that disruption. Will the disruption come from one of these little guys sitting there? And like you said, will they come and kill you? Or is it going to be Alibaba who's going to set up a...
You don't now need to have a global network that you own, fully control, in order to have a global solution. This is one. The challenge and the disruption is in the last mile.
Mm-hmm.
The problem with the last mile that we're all facing is our customer base has changed. When we were delivering to a building like here, the delivery timing was from 9 to 5, and this building doesn't have legs. And the set agreement is negotiated once a year. Once you go, and I deal with people like you and like me and like my friends and family, and once the e-commerce and online gave the opportunity for you to have the sole owner and decision maker of shopping online, then it became different. You need a package as quick as possible, as cheap as possible, in the time slot that you wanted it.
Mm-hmm.
And this is where companies like us have been at a challenge, because we were designed not to do that. We were designed that a 98% is the success ratio. But 98% is a success ratio for a B2B, but 98% for a B2C, when you have tens of thousands of shipments, is a total failure. So when we were used to going to the customers telling him, well, we're celebrating, he will tell us, what the hell are you talking? You failed 2%. That 2% is 5,000 shipments. These 5,000 shipments is, I've lost my business because of you. It took us time to understand. So what we're currently doing right now, we're re-engineering the whole process. We are looking at our B2C customer in the eye of the consumer and deploying a new technology. Currently, the technology that we're deploying is an app model. It's similar to the Uber